Welcome back. New this morning, it's a chance to learn a little bit more about having a healthy relationship with food.
Joining us this morning to talk more about this in this year's Tri-State Eating Disorder Conference, we have Teresa Chestnut and from the Chestnut Group, and Kayla Stanton, a local dietitian, with us this morning. Tell us about this event and the importance of this event, and I guess really define this event, because when folks hear eating disorder, they kind of, put it in one category.
Yeah, sure. Kayla and I specialize in treating eating disorders, and we really wanted to bring awareness and education to the tri-state area because of the prevalence and because it's a deadly eating disorder. And so we wanted to bring quality education and training here. So we have national experts, and Dick Schwartz is the founder of Internal Family Systems Theory, and other eating disorder experts that are coming in to do the training.
And what are some common misconceptions, before we kind of get into the event itself, that people might have about eating disorders?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest ones, probably one of the most harmful ones, is that they look a certain way. And because of that, people think they would recognize it. Oh, I would know if my loved one had an eating disorder, or if I had an eating disorder, but there's so much really just nefarious information about diet and relationship with food and eating out there that people may think they're doing things in the name of health, and they're really suffering a really incredible eating disorder that's treatable. And only about 6% of people are underweight that have eating disorders, right? And they're here. They're in our backyard. They're in our families. We're talking almost 1 million people in Indiana and Kentucky that have eating disorders.
Now, throughout life, I mean, when we're young, we learn how to eat from our parents. There's a schedule to eat. But what spurs someone to develop an eating disorder? What is it? Is stress? Is it? What other factors play into that?
Well, what we know about eating disorders now is that there is a genetic vulnerability. Highly sensitive, perfectionistic, fear of failure. There's like many genetic vulnerabilities, so that there might be one child that maybe gets bullied on the playground for their weight, and they might not go on to develop an eating disorder, start dieting, not go on to have a full-blown eating disorder, whereas someone has that genetic vulnerability will develop the eating disorder.
And I would add that sometimes there can be environmental triggers that can actually trigger or activate that genetic vulnerability. So you might have a person who has a normal, typical, healthy relationship with food. They go on a diet, they lose a significant amount of weight. That actually triggers something physiological in their body that can activate that eating disorder. And then in a sense, and they can get hooked, and then it becomes very much out of their control. What started as something they were choosing became something they no longer choose.
And this can be men and women of all ages, and it can be not just undereating, but overeating as well. So a lot of stuff. I mean, how often do you see people battling this right here at home that we might not even realize?
So often. I started my practice here just because there were no other dietitians providing treatment for people with eating disorders. And what I thought would be a 3-year plan of going to full-time, leaving my other dietitian job, became a 6-month plan.
Wow.
The prevalence, our best stats we have are about 9 to 10% of our population has it. That was pre-pandemic. We know that eating disorder prevalence has gone up. We just don't have the new numbers.
Wow. So let's talk about the Tri-State Eating Disorder Conference. It's taking place tomorrow and Saturday. What is this event? What can people expect?
Sure. There are going to be speakers throughout the day, both Friday and Saturday, both for dietitians and therapists. And it'll be lecture style and experiential.
Gotcha. And there's a panel, like a whole panel of people talking, nearly a dozen almost, that are coming in, which is amazing. So is this the second year you guys are hosting?
This is the second year, exactly.
So what was last year's success like?
It was a great success. And again, it just really speaks to the need and the thirst for people to learn more about eating disorders.
Absolutely. And so that's taking place. I think we have a full screen tomorrow, and it takes place Saturday as well, Old National events. Virtual registration today at noon is the deadline, so people can still qualify for that if they'd like to. What time does this kick off tomorrow?
8:15 tomorrow morning.
8:15, wonderful. Yeah. And where can they go to learn more information if they're interested?
Sure, they can go to our website, thechestnutgroup.com.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in today. We appreciate it, and we'll send things over to Chief Meteorologist Griffin Glasscock. Good morning, Griffin.
All right.